Hello.
I got 8:15 and 8:30 confused.
Oh. That's okay, man. Don't worry about it. How's it going?
Not bad. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, I know. It's off for... Well, we did. Didn't we do last week?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Just,
But I mean, a
yeah.
while at this point is like, I don't know. I don't talk to you for like 4 days, and I start getting antsy.
You get a bit of withdrawal.
Can you hear my shitty kid in the background?
Whoa. No, actually.
Kids are the worst.
You're all good.
Kids are the worst. Why the hell do we have them?
Well, hold on. Kids start off as the worst and get awesome. My kid's amazing.
That's not what you were telling me a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A couple of years ago. And then
All
you
right.
get through the garbage, and then it gets great.
Okay. So I got another, 2 more years?
How old are you, dude? 3?
3?
Yeah, it's the worst. 3's the worst.
I guess it depends on your expectations. Mine's almost 3, and I just roll with it.
Yeah, it's because she's not 3 yet. Just wait.
Just had a temper tantrum like literally 2 days ago in the middle of.
Oh, just one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
she always has that.
Just one.
No, not just one. I'm just telling you the last one that occurred.
Yeah, but and I think that
no. You can tell an end to it. That's a breakthrough.
Oh, you just has it continuously.
Yeah.
I can't speak for your kids, but I know in my experience, I thought that she was bad at 2, and then she turned 3, and she got like a billion times worse. Like I thought that 2 was total shit, and I was like, "Oh, this is the worst." But oh well. Similar to what you're doing now, Tim. And then she got into 3. I was like, "I'm gonna kill myself. This is the worst thing. Like, why did I do this?"
That's okay.
All right. Well,
and not to say that that's what it's going to be with yours.
Yeah,
just that was my experience.
Yeah, of course.
It's just that your kid starts getting ideas about what he knows about the world and starts telling you about that like he knows everything, and then stops saying please and all those things, and because he thinks he knows better. That's what I'm dealing with right now.
It's right about that time when like my wife and I almost got divorced.
It's right about that time you put your kid through the wall.
It's by far the hardest family situation of my life.
Oh, wow.
It's okay. I'm the bad guy in the family, so.
And then it normalized.
So there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
No, just I'm used to it now, right?
I see.
So
you're saying we're like as adults are like the cool, like interesting people who can adapt to this crap.
No, it's the people who have their will broken and like have completely given up on anything ever getting better.
Okay. I needed that clarification. So
just get there as soon as you can.
Get broken as soon as you can.
Quiet acceptance, right?
Life lessons.
Speaking of kids and this is a really bad segue. I was reading some stuff online today about PSVR, and the recommendation is that you don't let kids under 12 play VR.
And you've broken that already.
Yeah.
No, I haven't broken it, but I did a little more research today. I had Austin was over on the weekend, and he was playing that One Piece demo.
And he's basically a big kid.
Sure. And he had a really good time. Like, he really enjoyed it. Like, anybody who puts this thing on is like, this is crazy. It's so fun. It's pretty great. But then I got thinking about my kid doing it, and she's like all over One Piece. And so I was like, I wonder if there's, the things like, like the epilepsy warnings at the start of video games that you just ignore, right?
Yeah.
Or the don't play video games for like more than 6 hours at a time that you just ignore, right?
Sometimes, yeah, I guess.
Where I did a little research, did a little digging today, and see like, is there anything behind this?
Yeah, what's the basis of the
12-year thing, right? And apparently there's not. Apparently there's nothing.
It's just some protective stuff just in case.
Yeah,
right?
it's a legal thing, right? But I found a website that asked a bunch of optometrists about it and like youth development, whatever. And I guess that it is the same as a kid using a phone or reading, right? Like there's all these studies that say like kids who read a lot as kids often develop myopia because their eyes have not gotten that long distance focus strength, you know?
That's
Mhm.
me.
And me too. And so, and Tim, I assume that you were the same, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so apparently that's the only thing that they're concerned about. But if my kid's going to use it for like, I don't know, 20 minutes once, then I'm sure it's fine regardless, right? So I've
They're
been
not
thinking
afraid of your kid running themselves into a desk or something.
well, and I think that was the other thing that people were talking about is like the
Yeah.
spatial awareness issue, right? And like kids pulling things out and like slamming into things. But if it's just like, here, sit on this and watch this,
Yeah. Yeah.
then I don't think that it would be a problem. So I think I'm going to try her into it
Cool.
this week.
And there's nothing about like how heavy the headset is for on their
Yeah,
neck or
and that was
anything.
one of the other things that that was being discussed. But the same thing. If it's just for a short amount of time, then I'm sure it's
Yeah, it's not
a
that
big
heavy.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like the balance of it. Like a helmet's like designed to kind of sit in a certain way on your head, right? Whereas the VR is kind of front heavy in a way. So
Sure.
that's
So
I'm
it
sure-
was-
I'm
you
sure
know,
that she can self-regulate enough to say, "Daddy, this is heavy," and I take it off her. Right? Like she's smart enough.
I'm
that she
having
can
too
tell
much
me what she's
fun. Don't take it
feeling.
off, Dad. My neck hurts.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Good? Jump into it, let her do it?
Sure.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, and it's not a regular thing. It's not like she's going to be playing 8 hours a day. It's here, look
Right.
at this once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's One Piece show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say that now, and then next day you come home and she's be like, "I've been in there for 8 hours, Dad."
What's
'cause-
reality?
Because
you
she knows how to
real?
turn it on. It's funny, you know, when I was a kid, I turn the TV on and make sure it's on channel 3, and then I push a button and start playing.
Yeah.
Where right now, if my kid wants to, and she has no idea how, but if like to go through the steps to get it to a point where she can start playing VR, say if she wanted to play a VR One Piece game, she'd have to turn the TV on, but there's no button on the TV. So she'd have to find the remote and then turn the TV on. And then if I was doing something different, she'd have to switch the input on both the TV and the receiver. Then she'd have to turn on the PS4 and log into her account. And then she'd have to turn on the PSVR. And if I wasn't playing, or if I was playing something in HDR, she'd have to hit the button underneath to switch it over. And then she'd have to pick it up and put it on her head. And then she how many steps are there to get to like, okay, now I can play.
Mhm.
So you're saying I made a huge mistake by smart homing my
No, yes, you did. No, you don't need to say anything. You made a huge mistake by like smart homing anything. But I don't know, that's a frustrating part. Even for me, one of the things I really like about Switch is that I can just press the button and start playing, right?
Oh.
Like it's always in sleep. And so I just start.
Does she know that?
No, but my kid's not interested in video games. She has other things to do.
More important things to do.
No, it's just she's not interested in it. So I'm not going to push it on her. I think I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I was going to say, I think there's a lot of parents that kind of push it on their kids because they're interested, but I don't think that's necessarily the case either.
Speaking of which, when can I push Street Fighter on my kid?
Speaking of Street Fighter,
I want to play some even with Street Fighter.
I don't play Street
I
Fighter.
miss playing Street Fighter in the same location next to
Yeah, of
somebody.
course. Well, how much fun did we have playing Dragon Ball Fighters just that short time?
Yeah, it's completely different. So
I started playing Dragon Ball Fighters a little bit more this week again.
Yeah.
Because there was the new DLC came out.
Yep.
Did you see who the new characters were? So the first round of DLC, it was Broly and Bardock.
Okay.
And I didn't give a shit about either of them, so I didn't buy them.
Okay.
Did you see the second wave?
Nope.
So Fused Zamasu, which won't mean anything if you didn't watch Super. But
is it important to you since you did watch Super?
yeah, for sure, I bought it.
All right.
And the other one was Vegito, which was awesome. So it's cool, and they both play really fun. Vegeto's amazing, so fun to play. And it's weird because it's like the super version, like the blue hair Super Saiyan.
That was a God
Super Saiyan.
version.
Yeah. So I don't know, it's fun. It's very cool. So I've been playing through that a little bit too, and it's I've been really enjoying it. And I think that that's one that Jane and I have been playing a little bit. And with the summer coming up, I can see, just for like an hour in the morning, we'll just mess around a little bit, and yeah.
That sounds good.
It seems like one of those games that's got legs for me. Like, it's not something that I'm gonna like play all the time, but
Mhm.
I will play it consistently or regularly.
Yeah, it's easy enough to pick up again where you don't have to remember everything.
Yeah, but I also feel like it's easy to pick up and play, but I get really frustrated that I'm not. It's not as natural as it should feel to me, and so that makes me want to get better at it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you still have it? Did you get rid of it?
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah.
We should play sometime. We should spend some time with it. Yeah.
Instead, I picked up the Street Fighter 30th anniversary thing.
How is it?
It's good. I just it's hard to complain when they have 9 games in there. But I'm gonna try to complain about it anyways. Like, they're the arcade versions of the game, so there's some stuff like the dramatic battles that I mentioned before that everybody kind of really liked in the home version. The 2-on-1s that happened in first Alpha 2 and then Alpha 3, where you could have 2 guys, like usually Ken and Ryu, and fight like any of the boss, like a boss-like character. And that was one of the cool things I was in there. And it would have been nice for them to include those versions rather than the arcade versions, but it's just arcade versions. Not every arcade version is online either. So that's the other not so great thing about it. But it's 9 Street Fighters in one pack. So it's kind of hard to complain. And if you're a pretty big Street Fighter fan, then that's your way of getting Third Strike and Alpha 2, which are probably the 2 most popular games in the series. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was pretty good, but yeah, could have been better.
It's not always the case, though.
Yeah,
it's
hard for it to be perfect. Yeah.
Is it though? Because I mean, you just said a couple of things that would be pretty easy to implement, I think.
Having online for all 9 games, I can see where they would like not have the money to do that and get that all done. And then the other thing is, well, I don't know, like them porting from, like, for example, porting a Dreamcast code version of the game and then trying to port also a PlayStation 2 version of the game, and then also port over a PlayStation 3 version of the game is kind of, I don't know how much work is involved in there. And, they want to just make this a quick cash grab for the 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Knowing Capcom, so
and it's hard too, right? Because it kind of depends on what you played, like what you were into is the version that you're gonna want, right?
Yeah. There's that part too.
Arcade's kind of a happy medium for everyone.
Yeah, but the thing I know it'll probably never come out again, but like my favorite Capcom game is Capcom SNK 2, and I get the feeling that it'll never get re-released at any point anymore. Because that means that they would have to relicense everything with SNK again. But yeah. I think that was like kind of the pinnacle of what they had in those series, and I wish there was a easier way to play that game, because I spent so much time on that game. I don't know that. And did you play any of the Switch demos that came out last week?
Which ones came out? I downloaded
Tennis Aces.
Yep, I played it a little bit. I was on the fence about buying it, and then after playing the tournament, I am leaning. I'm still on the fence, but leaning towards no.
Is it because of the power up? way
No,
of playing?
no, it's not. It's not because of the game at all. It's because of me.
Okay.
The game seems really cool. It seems really polished. Characters play very differently, which I really appreciate. I just don't really have the pull to play it. Right? Like it looks great. It looks fun. It. I'm more interested in it in theory than I am in practice. Like the tutorial stuff was really cool, and the idea of online tournaments really cool. Did you get a chance to play it?
Yeah.
So if anybody hasn't, the way that the online test demo thing worked is that you would be thrown in the bottom bracket of a tournament, and if you lost, then you're just kicked out. But if you win, then you move up the bracket. And so you have to win consecutive matches to get to
like
the
6
top
in a row or something.
Yeah. And so it's fun. I find online games stressful if I'm not playing with someone. It's the same like Dragon Ball Fighters. I don't ever want to play a ranked match because I get way too stressed out.
Would you feel better if we played doubles online?
Yeah, I think so. And that's what I mean. Like I'm kind of on the fence because I know a couple of people who are also on the fence. And if everybody bought it, then I think it would be a good purchase. I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
Tell you what my biggest problem is in that game is the way that they do all those power hits and stuff. I just don't get it. Like the whole court dash, like from one side to the other, the building of the meter and everything.
Huge meta.
I hate it. I can't stand it, and it reminds me too much of the previous Mario Tennis games, especially the more recent ones, the 3DS ones. I don't know if you played them, but there is one on 3DS, and then there's a sports pack one. I think right? Is that right?
I don't remember.
Anyways, like at least in the sports pack one, it plays almost exactly the same. You have to stand in a certain part of the court in order to get like a mega shot, and I hate that. Like it's like forcing me into a particular area of the court, which I don't want to be in, just to try and hit like some more powerful shot. And if you hit from anywhere else, it's almost impossible to hit the ball through the person because they have way too many ways to defend against the ball. It's just I don't know. It pisses me off when I played that game. It's like I hit a lot of winners that I think that would be winners normally in like virtual tennis and stuff, and then it's like, oh, the guy somehow got to there even though it's physically impossible. Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell is this? Now I know there's a simple version of the tournament
to turn all that stuff off,
but like you can't play that right now, so it's like I don't know.
And I think that's. Like those are absolute concerns that I also feel. I'm it's funny because this is one of like the great problems in my life right now is if I should buy Mario Tennis Aces. But it's caused genuine stress for me. Like I lose sleep over
I don't know how you can equate that and Ontario election right now together.
No, Mario Tennis is the distraction so I don't kill myself. How about the election? I don't know. Are you leaning one way or the other?
You mean NDP or PC?
No, Mario Tennis Ace is buy or pass.
Once again, I love the game in theory.
Yeah.
I want virtual tennis. Like if I had virtual tennis on here, I'd have no question. I'd be
a good one.
Singing praises, yeah.
Because there are still like Virtua Tennis light games coming out that are just not good. I want Virtua Tennis 1 for Dreamcast again.
Yeah. Even 2's fine. It's not the greatest one, but yeah, I'm fine with 2. Just give me virtual tennis. Like I don't need this power up bullshit. I want to feel like I'm like in charge of like where my shot's going. Just let me play a real tennis game, please. Somebody, please.
Tim, you ever play any tennis game?
Not really.
I never into it.
No, I think it's just how do I even describe why? Like, I think the way you aim shots and stuff is is sort of opaque to me. Like I don't get it. Like I don't understand how you're supposed to do stuff in a lot of tennis games. So it feels like I'm not really in control, and maybe I never played them long enough, I guess. But
Yeah.
Virtua Tennis for me was the turning point with tennis games. Like before that, it was just okay, fine, tennis game, whatever, it's fine. But then when I played Virtua Tennis, it was like, okay, now I get what this is supposed to be, and it's so good.
Pushing a person around the court because you're hitting the ball in places where they need to be like running
back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. Is the most fun ever.
Yeah, absolutely satisfying, especially when you're playing with somebody and you're both trying to do it right. You get one good hit off and like it just starts to unravel for the other side, and it's just a matter of time. It's so
playing
good.
doubles with the right partner is like unbelievable.
Okay,
it's like
so
you don't even have to talk to each other, and you just like.
I'm gonna stop you for a second. I'm gonna ask you, can you tell me another game where you play two people on a team, you play something like doubles, but it's not tennis, but you get that same feeling where you just, oh, this feels so good. Like this is my brother, my team.
Monster Hunter.
No, I can feel that.
I feel like if it's a bit 50-50, it depends because sometimes you're knocking each other out of the way too, right?
You know what it is? I think about Beach Spikers.
Oh yeah.
Beach volleyball.
Oh my god.
So good.
Well, we played one, Chris, that was like that. I think we found a few games that are like that. But
yeah, Beach Spikers.
No, me and you played
Beach Spikers.
Tower.
That was you and me, Chris.
Tower Climb? No.
Tower. I want to say I almost said Tower Climb too, though, so maybe it is the one
Tower
Ascension, Tower Fall Ascension.
Yeah, that game felt like that.
Yeah,
for sure. We were both like, yeah, that was.
And but you have to be in the same room. It's the same problem with the fighting game things. Like it's online's not the same. You got to be in the same room for that kind of stuff. Heartbreaking.
And then a Pokemon Quest. Did you try that out?
I did. It's a bullshit like cell phone game.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Oh, then there's a Pokemon game that came out?
Yeah, it's free and it's not worth your time.
Well, I'm not a Pokemon.
It's funny because it started, I don't know, like one thing that I like about it is it's, I played the original Pokemon when it came out, and so I'm like one of those losers that's like one original 150 Pokemon only, and Pokemon Quest is, I think from what I've seen, it just includes the original ones, which I like. It got to a point where, okay, here's the intro stuff. Like every mobile game is the same, where here's the intro stuff where you don't have to worry about resource or anything. And then it starts and you're like, do I want to put effort into this? So I looked online and see what's the end game like. Is this something that it's going to be worth my time? And everybody says that it's just like the biggest bullshit grind ever. And everybody's super unhappy when they reach end game. So I was like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was thinking about that earlier because did you see Square drop the Go series from mobile? Because there's no, did you guys ever play Hitman Go or the Lara Croft Go? What was the other one? There was three of them.
Hitman was okay. And the other one was Deus Ex.
Right. And they just said, we're not going to make any more because like premium price games don't sell. Like there's no point of releasing games that cost $5-6 on mobile because nobody's buying them.
Yep.
And I'm not interested in mobile games. I know we've talked about it on the show before, but like I don't even try any anymore. I'm not interested.
This is what I was talking about. Like,
except for Buried Borns. I downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet.
But I mean, like Square I think they released, what was it? Square just released like a $14 game or something on on iOS and Android. So like there's still some companies trying to do it. I don't understand. Like I don't think they're doing well with those things, but they continue to do it, so they must be doing something correct, I guess. Um, the other thing I played was Bloodstained Curse of the Moon because I got my backer reward for it. That's the Innis Create one. That's a 2D, 2D, and I guess NES look of Bloodstained, the new Castlevania Igarashi game, and it's very much in the Dracula's Curse, Castlevania 3 vibe, where you have multiple characters and you're going along. It's not an incredibly long game. It's only about I think around 3 to 5 hours maybe.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's not bad.
It's not hard either. I heard it's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, but it's a fun little romp through, and
It looks great. And the bosses that I saw, like I watched someone play through,
I
were
read-
really cool.
I read a tip that you might want to try. Do you know I guess you can, as you go through the story, you recruit like the other characters, right?
Yep.
You can kill them instead.
Yeah, you get powers.
Really?
So that's kind of a different way to play, right? Like when you kill one of your companions, you get, like Tim says, you can get a some special power for your guy. And so instead of having like, what is it, 4 guys?
Yeah.
You can just have your one that's like a powered version of, that sounds kind of interesting.
I'm just, when I saw this and how, like, what the quality was of it, I was just like, if this is this good, then I think we're in good hands for the Bloodstained when it comes out. So pretty exciting.
I don't think it's looking that great though, to be honest.
Let's see.
Visually.
3D one, I'm not too sure about. Like it doesn't look great. It's got that. It's not a polished cell shade. It looks like kind of, I don't know, not as nice as I would want it to be. And if it was 2D, it would probably look a lot better. And I don't see any reason why it had to be polygonal, but that's what they decided to go with.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it suffers because it's cheaper.
Hmm.
Do you know what I
can get
started?
over- I can get over the look.
This is
that's
not
not 100% my cup of tea, but
This is not a video games thing, but do you know I started watching? This is the stupidest.
good. I love it.
What did you watch,
So
Chris?
no. So when you say about like saving money, and so it looks like garbage because save money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I got thinking about like in like 1 second time, like I went through this thing in my head and thinking about like there's something recently that I like was really impressed with the animation for, and I was like, oh yeah. I started rewatching Record of Lodoss War.
Oh yeah.
It is gorgeous. It looks
The original,
so
right?
good. The original AV, yeah.
Yeah.
It's bananas how good it looks.
Oh, there's a ton of detail in it.
Yeah,
That's
for sure. Like it's the art is good, but the animation is really strong too.
Mhm.
And I think that this is something that people are not as concerned about. I hate to use the word nowadays, but I think that there used to be more of a focus on the craft, right? And I think we've talked about this before too, like the idea that, yeah, you can push this thing out, but what you push out is going to be fine. Where if you can spend some time and some money on it, again, kind of locking down that time and that money is a different story, then you can come up with something different, right? Like, I don't think that, from what I remember of Lodoss War, there's nothing overly exciting about the story or about the world. Like, it's pretty straightforward from what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
But it's enough just because it's so fun to look at.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times we miss out on some of that stuff, One game that I played was Yoku's Island Express. I know we talked about that. I bought it last episode, but I really enjoyed it, like a lot, like maybe one of my favorite Switch indies.
Cool.
So it's very fun. The pinball aspect of it is less than I was kind of hoping for.
Oh, really? That's disappointing.
Like, it's fine, and there is a lot of pinball, but it's just when you think about the old like Sonic Spinball or like the Kirby. Well, there was a Kirby one or something, wasn't there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Like they felt like pinball.
Games.
where this feels like a Metroidvania where you knock a ball around.
Where it was, yeah, that's what I was. I see.
And that's not a knock against
No,
it.
sure.
I think I maybe would have preferred a little more pinball.
Pinball, yeah.
You think it's swung too far the other way?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's good and I like it, but it's ultimately forgettable because it doesn't look that great. It looks fine. It's serviceable, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it's not fair because it's, you know, it's a small studio, I'm sure, and I don't even know who these guys are. Villa Gorilla, Team 17 published them. That was the Worms guys, aren't it?
Yeah.
Villa Gorilla. This is the only game that they've made.
Going back to like style, I think. See, I get there's something about like Lotus War and like the stuff that was created in the 80s that was born out of like there's some I guess I would say ignorance about like the entire industry as a whole. So people always say, "Oh, I'm gonna kill myself to do this animation," like Gainax did way back then, right? Like the Lotus War studio also did way back when. And they killed themselves to make the animation look the best because they were so in love with it. They just wanted it to look the most amazing out of anything ever. Right?
Like not a business decision, but a labor of love, right?
Right. Because they didn't know any better. Like nowadays, like everyone's like, well, all these people are making millions of dollars off of my work and I'm not getting a single penny of it. Like who's dumb enough to go about doing that nowadays is a good question, right? Like you have to have a little bit of stupidity to make it that crazy. Like that you're gonna make sure that every single animation frame is gonna look amazing in your game. That you're gonna make a crazy like $1 million game for only $100,000 because you're gonna actually put the blood work into the whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Like in this day and age, it's a lot harder for that because everybody knows that people take advantage of you if you do it that way.
But how much does it suck that it does still pay off though when things like that happen? You talk about, so say somebody like Eiichiro Oda that makes One Piece. Everything that I hear about that guy is that like he's killing himself. Like the amount of work that goes into it, right? Like you talk about like 14-hour days on repeat forever and being forced to take breaks because like people just pushing this stuff out. So I think that you still sometimes get that payoff, right? Like what
do
about
you know that he actually has a financial payoff? Like do you actually know like
yeah, that guy makes tons of money. But that's also One Piece though, right? Like it's something a little bit different. So think about something else. What about Little Witch Academia was gorgeous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like super beautifully animated. I don't know what came from that, if there was any, like you say, financial reward from it. I think it was somewhat popular, right?
Yep. But I don't know. Like it's almost like trying to think of some of the games like that were indie hits that really people didn't make actually that much money off of them.
Right. I mean, but I think something like Little Witch Academia, I think that it originally started off as a labor of love, right? Sure. Like from what I remember of the story, it's not this. I mean, the story of like the making, not of the thing itself. Mm-hmm. But from what I remember, it's like Trigger saying like, we're going to do something really special.
Yep.
Right? Like this is something that we really, really want to do. And it's maybe not even feasible. I think it started as a Kickstarter, did it not?
Yeah. And they don't care. Like, I don't care. I'm not in this to make $1 million. Yeah. I'm here for the craft of it. Right.
Yeah. And because of that, it turned into something interesting. Like, did you see the Riding Bean one? Bean Bandit?
Yeah.
I might check that out. That looks cool.
Yeah.
Like, somebody made an argument the other day about comic books and how Image in the 90s had like this crazy thing where they got a bunch of money together and they like revolutionized how like the comic industry worked, right?
Sorta.
It's Image Comics, I get it. But and so to continue along the same sorta path, the argument was like, look at where we live now, where Image did something amazing at the time. that was like almost impossible. And right now, like anybody can do a Kickstarter and come up with the same thing.
Yeah, but they're not successful from it.
I know.
The thing about Image is, yeah, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, and Todd McFarlane made a killing on that whole entire deal, but like, where's Wilt Portaccio or Alan Silvestri and all those guys who are like all around? Like they did okay, but they're compared to those guys, it's completely night and day, right? Like, and the guys at the top did take advantage of some of that stuff, and they used it as leverage. Like Jim Lee got to be able to become like the editor and chief at DC and stuff as a result of that. But I mean, and he sold his whole entire Wildstorm publication to them, so he made bank on his stuff. But I don't know like about all the other people who were working under him, who were working with him at the time. Did they make a killing too?
But like, where else is this going to come from then? So my point of saying that is we can still get this stuff because there are other channels to get this stuff.
Sure.
If it's not coming out commercially, if it's not ever going to be a big like financial draw, then where else are we going to get it other than something like Kickstarter?
I think that's right, but I'm just saying the ratio of people who are putting everything into it and making it big compared to other people who are, I don't want to say half-assing it, but doing it like with compromise. Okay.
And I think sorry.
Like Yoku, like the Yoku Island game, right? It's got a compromise on it, but it's out there. It's making money. People are talking about it. To push it over into a classic, would it have been worth it for them to kill themselves over it? I don't know.
But I think that we have.
It's hard to expect people to do that.
We have a history of being able to look at years and years and years of releases too, though, right? Like when you pick out something like Gunbuster or the Royal Space Force or Lodoss War, like these are like the pinnacle of everything that was released, right? How much shit came out in the same time?
Yeah.
And so I think maybe by ratio, is it that much worse now? I would still argue that it is, because I don't see a whole lot of really strong, big backing from anywhere. Like where's the money going towards something that's done for craft and has commercial success as a side effect instead of for commercial success on as cheap as we can do it?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's a fair question to ask. And I don't know if I feel this way. It's just more for discussion, right?
Sure. I mean, if we're talking about anime, before it got super big and before it got way too commercialized, like now, I don't want to talk about now for that series, but like in its humble beginnings, like there's a visual novel series, Fate Stay Night, which is like the thing that everything is like. Everything in anime that is super hot is basically taken from that, and that particular series was like from a small doujin circle, which is like a fan made like a video game actually and visual novel, and it blew up so big because it had anime and it had like tons of games and then like tons more movies and games and stuff like that, and now it's like super, super huge, like a behemoth right now. But it didn't start as that. It was a very humble beginnings, like just a written story, like a unique art style sort of thing. Not necessarily the best art style, but they put their heart into it, And I'm not saying it's going to be everybody's cup of tea, but that's where it started from. And somehow it blew up into that big, huge thing, I don't know nowadays where you're going to find that very often, to be honest. Like even scouring all of that stuff now is kind of weird in Japan. Like because they try and pick up a lot of titles and pick up a lot of ideas when they are small and cheap. And then that's how they are now building that into a big idea now, or selling it as a big idea now. you're not getting the time for it to ferment, to develop, for people to revise it and put like lots of effort into it multiple times nowadays. So I don't know, like what you're talking about as far as that's concerned, like you know from your reading of manga, like how many of those stories are picked up to make a lousy drama or a lousy like anime series that's just put out there just to make the producers money, not necessarily the artist, right?
Sure.
Happens a lot nowadays. It's good questions.
Like, is it just me pining for an era that's gone, right? Like, is it just me being a baby and saying,
You
"Oh, I
never
like
do
it
that.
when I was young"? Shut up. No, but listen, though, if it is something that I miss, and there's things that I wish were different, right? Like, I really like the how do I say it? I don't want to. Maybe I just come out and say I miss the like hyper violent like 90s bullshit that came out. That was just total trash. But there's some merit to that too, because it's fun, right? Like, I think that there is there's not though. See, we're going back into the same argument as like this B tier, like this is not for every single person. This is not a catch-all for everyone. It's not like a super small indie thing. Like, I think about something like MD Geist. Like, who is that for?
You, apparently.
No, I know, but really though, like it's total shit, but it's amazing. Like, it's not. Who's the audience, right? Is it the same people who are into like Yakuza games? Maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. I think that there's still an audience for this stuff, but we just don't see it.
I mean, that was a logo for Central Park Media back in the day. So, I mean, this is more than just you who found MD Geist like very like interesting.
Yeah, but not now though. That's my argument though, right? And is it a matter of just people are not interested, or like
it's a product of its era? Is
willing to take a chance on things?
But I think it's just a product of its era. Like that particular time in the 80s can foster that particular kind of art. Like, it just, now we don't have the ability to foster that kind of art because people don't grow up in the same culture, haven't grown up in the same kind of era, and haven't grown up with the same kind of I guess feeling with those others around them, you know.
Here's what you can hope for, Chris. It'll become popular at some point again in the future, but to the point where it'll annoy the crap out of you and you'll hate it.
So like Devilman Crybaby?
Like how 80s revival is doing the same thing.
But so almost exactly Devilman Crybaby, right? Sure. I hated that shit. It was terrible. Yeah. And people look at it and said...
Well, that was a reimagining of it, though. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, literally
like it'll come back and be cool again?
Well, no. I don't know. Maybe initially, and then they'll just beat it to death. Right?
I hope not.
But during that little sweet spot, you'll probably get some cool stuff. Yeah. Something will set it off, right?
Yeah.
When society is not comfortable, that's when you have really interesting art. Unfortunately, that's been my kind of opinion about.
So you got a very good chance.
We're getting there. You know, like that's when people create things that are interesting, I think.
Tim, what did you say? A good chance?
Well, so I'm saying so yes, based on what Keenan's saying, you have a good chance of having some cool art coming out.
Stuff coming out, some cool art coming out of Ontario the next 4 years.
Yeah.
I think next podcast episode is either going to be like really, really upbeat or like super suicidal.
It depends on E3. There you go. We'll have E3 to talk about. Same thing.
To be honest, I'll be pretty depressed either way.
Are either of you guys planning anything special for E3?
I'm just gonna absorb content.
When are you gonna absorb content?
Oh, I don't know. Whenever I get a chance to. I'm working this week, so I'll be working. But
I'll be watching all the Giant Bomb feeds like I do.
Whenever you're on, I'll check to see if whenever I'm on, I'll check to see if you're on, and we're on the same time. We'll watch stuff live.
Are we gonna do because the PlayStation one starts at 9 o'clock on which day? Monday, I
Monday.
think.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm working. Oh, on Monday. Next Monday?
Monday night
Oh.
at 9.
Oh, we can do that.
You guys want to do? So you want to do next?
Livecast?
Because it's next week. We'll do livecast then for the
Yep.
PS4 one.
Perfect.
Sure.
Why don't we do? I don't know. We'll put a post on Facebook, but why don't we try to get a bunch of people? And if anybody's interested, we'll just throw it up, and then we'll just all watch it
Yeah.
together and record it and throw it up.
Sounds
think?
good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I don't expect a lot from Nintendo's, to be honest. Did you see there was a weird thing about like I didn't really understand it. I didn't really read it that deeply, but I guess Nintendo shares the last 2 days of like took a huge hit.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
They're not announcing anything past this year either, for apparently.
Yeah, and I think that's where a big part of it is like they don't have anything to really show.
Yeah.
I thought
Apparently.
didn't Nintendo stock go up like crazy because of the Pokemon stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know. The last 2
Maybe
days
it
were
just
like
re-regulated back down.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I don't know. It's just it's funny because I think that traditionally E3 is a really exciting time, right? I don't really give a shit this year, and I'm not really sure what the reason is for me why that's so like I'm so indifferent about it.
Oh, there's a ton of stuff I'm excited about. A few things I'm excited about. Let's put it that way.
Like what?
Monster Hunter news.
Oh
I'm
fuck
sure we'll
yeah,
get
dude!
to that.
Is that so? Do you have details on what Thursday's update is? It's this Thursday, is it not?
All I know is there's going to be Arc, whatever, tempered
That's the lad.
elders, and first one's going to be friggin' unicorn.
What is that? What's Arc?
It's just more moves, different, more higher difficulty, like crazier
Is that,
stuff.
is that like G rank?
No, it's some other thing, and you can get a gamma. It lets you make gamma armors.
But it's somewhat similar to G rank. in
Yeah,
that
I
it's
think we're gonna
an
get a taste of
upgrade,
it.
right? Good.
I think we're gonna get a taste of it.
All right. And is there gamma armor for everybody, or just
I
as
don't-
they release like one at a time?
I'm not sure what it'll probably be set gamma armors for maybe only the elders or something. I'm not sure, but who cares? Like it'll be fun to see how
Yeah,
hard
more
it
Monster
gets. And
Hunter.
gear up for with thunder resist as much as possible. I
That's
guess.
true though. You know what? I didn't even think about that. I bet you there are some Monster Hunter announcements.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah. Man. We didn't talk about what I played, but I can save it.
No, go ahead.
I played something called Cult Simulator. It just came out on Steam like 3 days ago. Imagine Solitaire mixed with Arkham Horror, but also imagine playing Solitaire where you're learning the mechanics. Like it's opaque and you have to learn by trial and error a little bit, but there's a lot of it's interesting. It's really cool. You have a big board and you place cards everywhere and you combine them with different like verb actions on the board, and you work through like building a cult. And I haven't got that far because I keep dying of like different things that happen.
Yes.
Like you got to keep track of different. There's like health and reason and passion and something else. Like if those drop to 0, you can die and you can get arrested. There's investigators. Like it's pretty cool. I briefly like looked at someone playing it on Twitch, and their board was just full of cards. Like I never saw that many cards, so I think I'm still like I haven't gotten that deep into it, but it's pretty enticing. Like it's if you want to play a card game by yourself and you're interested in that kind of vibe and figuring things out, like how the mechanics work, it's really cool. So yeah, check it out. There's a whole big post on it on Something Awful forums. People are really digging into it, and it was mentioned on Rosetta as well. There's a thread on it. So yeah, it's cool.
What else
I finished Celeste as well.
Did you finish?
Evil Within?
Yeah.
No, I didn't get to it. Cult Simulator is
Shocking.
not my attention. Yeah, but I did finish Celeste, and I do want to go back and like do the extra stuff because like there's a whole other area that I can't get to because I have to like find hidden things.
The heart of the mountain.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking of doing that. But I really liked it all. I really liked the ending sequence. I it just kept getting better. It's one of those games that the mechanics keep building, and the designs of the areas, the music's fantastic.
Did you cry?
No, but I was touched by just how good it was.
Did it help you? Did it help you with your emotional problems?
No, unfortunately. I wish it did.
Nope, they're still there.
I'm still messed up. Hopefully they'll make a sequel. But yeah, it's a hard game. It's a hard game. Like I tried some of the what is it called? The B-sides?
Mm-hmm.
And they're tricky. They're fun though.
It's an interesting game because you can completely ignore all that stuff, and then the game's not that hard. Like the base this is the game that you can play. Like you can enjoy it and it's not stressful, and you just play it and then you're finished, right? But there is another game there, and that game is stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's fun.
I mean, base level of the main game, I would say, for out of all platformers I've played, probably like 7 out of 10, maybe difficulty kind of 8 out of 10 for the base game. But I think it gets up to like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 difficulty if you're talking all the, which is not necessarily, it's not easy to design a game to be hard. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But fair, right?
But fair, yeah. And it feels definitely like that. Like you're talking really precision stuff, but you know what you have to do. And there's a bit of a puzzle sometimes to figure that out. But once you know it, you just got to replicate it. There's a bit of a speed run mentality to it in some areas. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
I liked hitting a room and not having any idea, like seeing a strawberry somewhere and like saying, I have no idea how to get that. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know what to do. And so I like the idea that puzzle idea is interesting.
Yeah. And there's a lot of variability in it. Like when I compare it to something like Ed McMullen's game,
The End is Nigh.
Yeah. I think that was a little more, there's a little less variability in what you could do. Like there's not as many mechanics. It's still really well designed, but I think Celeste, because of the dash mechanic, it opens up a lot of stuff, and the climb mechanic that you can do where it feels a little more fuzzy. Do you know what I mean? Like you can, not that the mechanics aren't tight, but what you can do in any given moment feels a little more in your control than something like End is Nigh. Meat Boy is a bit more on the end of it, like a fuzzy type of control, where like you have a little more control in like in a span of milliseconds what you could do. Like you could wait slightly longer, and you'll have a different kind of move to be able to do, or positioning to be able to do. Whereas, yeah, so I like where it sits in that kind of I don't know how to describe it. But,
in that realm, that zone.
Yeah. I like where it sits.
Cool. Is it, Keenan? Are you picking up Ikaruga?
No, I've already bought it enough times.
That's kind of where I am too. I really like it, and I was thinking about buying it, but like, how many times do I have this game now?
Isn't Nicholas publishing it?
I don't
Nicholas
know.
or
I
whatever.
have it on PC. Like, as far as convenience is concerned, like I don't need it to be on Switch.
But your Switch you can set vertically and play on the stand. That's awesome.
Yeah, I can do that too with my monitor. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you can't carry your monitor around on the bus though.
That's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, Nicholas, I think, is publishing it.
I'm starting to build up this like list of Switch games that I want to play that I don't want to pay full price for.
Sounds about right. Like I don't know. Like there's some things on the Switch that are fine to play there, but I don't know. Not for full price.
Yeah, it's the like 4-year-old or in this case 20-year-old port on for full price system.
Put Gradius 5 on there and I'll think about it.
I want to play that.
You'd play Gradius 5 before Ikaruga? Is that because you you haven't played it since PS2?
Exactly. I haven't played since PS2, right?
Yeah.
Put R-Type Final on there.
Or put R-Type Final. I know lots of you guys love R-Type Final. That would be a good one.
Gradius 5 is more interesting to me.
Is it?
I like R-Type Final for sure. R-Type Delta.
Delta was good too.
Cool. All right. Well, let's again the same thing. Let's do open invitation. I'll post on Facebook and Twitter. We'll try to get a bit of a hangout going for the PlayStation stream next Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Cool. All right. We'll talk to you guys.
Here.
I see it.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.